y'all. I'm excited about this one. As most of you know, I am a mom of 4 boys. I am a business owner, a believer in many other things. But one thing that I love and enjoy so much is homeschooling. You have probably heard me talk about homeschooling on any of my other videos or in any other platform because I am very, very passionate about it. Now, in my Instagram DMs, I get lots of questions from you guys on homeschool. And this is one of the biggest things that I constantly get asked about. And so I said, listen, let me do a YouTube video answering these questions so that I can make sure that this content gets to the masses so that people can start homeschooling their children if they choose. All right, so let me address one thing. As a mom, sometimes you have fear around, am I making the right decision? Am I capable? How are they going to socialize? What are they going to do? Are they going to miss out? Let me tell you why we decided to homeschool, okay? Now, our kids have never been to public school. They went to private school. Shout out to Faith Christian Academy in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which we loved. However, homeschool is something that kind of was in the back of my mind that I wanted to do. I didn't have the courage to do it. And I did it for 1 year and then I had a baby. I was pregnant a lot, y'all. So I had a baby and then I sent the kids back to private school. And then after that, we pulled them back out and then I started homeschooling again. But it's something that I hear moms talk about all the time. They're very nervous about it. It's a big leap of faith. The first thing I would tell you though is to talk to God about it. Talk to God about it and see if that's the decision that God wants you to make in regards to your children. Any decision that is. Anywhere that they go, any program they join, any extracurricular activity they do, any school they attend, God should be included in all of those decisions. And ultimately, He makes the decision. And so that easy goes for school, that was just a given for us. We needed to talk to God about what He wanted us to do in regards to schooling for our kids. And the opportunities that you can get in homeschool are endless. The benefits are endless. And we are reaping the benefits. We are seeing the benefits of that in our children and how they are developing and how they are learning in the character that they have and in the Christ-like character, not just the good human behavior, but the Christ-like character that they have in them because of this decision. All right, so question number 1, how do I even get started with homeschooling? So here's how you get started. You go to your state's Department of Education website. It should also be on your local county, whatever county or city you're in. It should be on their website as well. There should be a tab for homeschooling. Go to the homeschooling tab. There are different requirements for each state. I am in Virginia. Because I am in Virginia, we have to file what's called a notice of intent. You don't have to, it's no big pomp and circumstance. It's literally a letter saying your child's name, their date of birth, age, those types of things, and what curriculum you are using. If you are using a curriculum, there's a couple things you fill out. I mean, the page is probably not even 2 pages long, and there are probably 8 fields that you write in. Very easy. You mail it back to your local local city or county. Mail it to them. They send you confirmation, and you're good. That's it. In my state also, at the end of the year, your child either has to have 1 or 2 things. They have to get an evaluation from someone and they have different credentials for the people who can evaluate them. They have to either get an evaluation or they have to take a standardized test that the state approves. They list the tests that they approve. My children do an evaluation. It's so simple to do. Throughout the year, I keep track of their progress. I document things with video and pictures and lots of things like that. And we also set goals every year with what we want them to learn and what we want them to do. You do not need to be certified to homeschool. You just need to make sure that you file the right paperwork and you are compliant with your state. Do your research and make sure you are good there. Now, this one is the biggest one. People are like, what do I teach them? I'm not that great at, I get that often. I'm not that great at this. I'm not that great at that. I'm not strong in math. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Some people choose not to use a curriculum at all, and they kind of pick and choose from different places. You know me. Y'all already know me. Y'all know systems, structure, order. And not having a curriculum is none of those things for me. My mind is just like, not having a curriculum, there is no way I can do that. There is no way. And so I use a curriculum. I use quite a few, but I will suggest a couple that I like. I've heard a lot of good things about a lot of different curriculums, but what I will tell you is seek God for that advice as well. for sure, because we include them in everything. But then on top of that, think about each child. Each of my children does different things because they learn differently and they also have different interests. So based on the interests they have and based on how they learn, if you have a child with ADHD, there's a different types of curriculums for that. If you have a child who's interested in music, there are curriculums for that. If you have a child that's interested in STEM, those types of things, there's curriculums for that. Some children do better with video. Some children do better with reading. Some do better with the hybrid. That's the cool thing about homeschool. One of the 10 million benefits of homeschool is the fact that there is no one size. We go to school, we sit in class and do the exact same thing as every other kid that learns differently than us. There's none of that in homeschool. You get to pick a curriculum that fits exactly how your child learns, and it's how they want to consume and also what they are interested in. So based on my children and the goals that we have set, Bible, number one, we gonna do Bible, period, always, every day. And the Abeka curriculum, I've looked at others. In my opinion, Abeka, their Bible is just hitting on, listen, the Bible is hitting on another level. You got to check it out. The reason, aside from us teaching them and them attending our church, shout out to Faith Christian Center World Outreach in Fredericksburg, Virginia, teaching our children the word and us living out the word and teaching them the word in the house. The reason they know Bible trivia like nobody's business is because of the Abeka curriculum. Literally the other day, funny sidebar, my children were in the car, they're doing trivia, and my 9-year-old throws out the trivia question because they do trivia often in the car, and he says, which king of Judah what became king at 7 years old? Now I'm sitting in the car like, which king of Judah, which king? I'm trying to figure it out. Now, I'm not going to tell you the answer, but I do want you to go look it up. Look it up. Real quick, fun, go look it up. But they knew this stuff. These are the types of things they know. They know the details of the stories. They're memorizing whole Psalms, and they understand these things as well. Abeka makes sure that the Bible is very digestible, but it's not shallow. It's not just stories, Bible stories. They go deep into Revelation and things like that. It's phenomenal. So we do that for Bible. We've done remember I said each kid, depending on who they are and their interests, do different things. Abeka is phenomenal. Abeka is just very rigorous. And if you want to challenge your child, that's the curriculum for sure. We use the good and the beautiful. We are non-denomination Christians. And the good and the beautiful is Mormon. And so I really enjoy their language and their math, certain topics of theirs, because they incorporate sometimes some of their like Mormonism in their other subjects. We do not study the other two subjects with them, but we do math and language. I do like that for some of my children. What else do we use? And then extracurricular things like typing.com is another great one. There are so many different curriculums. Right now, those are my top 3 for what I'm using for my children. One that a lot of people in my homeschool group, I run a homeschool group. We have almost 400 families in my local area in it. And one curriculum that I know a lot of them like is Easy Peasy. It's a free online curriculum. Also check out K-12 if you want something more like the public school curriculum. Check that out. There are so many. If you have questions, comment below and I can definitely support you, as I've consumed a lot of content from other curriculums and tried lots of other things as well. So definitely comment below and I will answer your questions. Okay, so this is another question. How long is a homeschool day? Benefit of homeschool. My kids are not sitting behind a desk listening to somebody lecture and doing school the entire day. Very early, God has showed us their gifts and their interests, things that they're interested in, things that they're really phenomenal at, and they have some great talents and skills. And so we spend more time nurturing and catering to that and enhancing those skills and gifts, because they will not be grown adults now identifying their gifts and now trying to study and learn and get better at those gifts as adults, as most folks do. They do that now because their whole day is not taken up by school. There's no reason for them to be in school all day, especially when I'm here. Like, I don't have to go to work at somebody's 9 to 5. So there's no reason for you to be gone when I can get you an even better education here and cater it to exactly what you need to learn. So school takes no more than about 3 hours every day. because we have a system, we have a routine. They go in and do everything they need to do. This includes them doing some of their extra classes. Like I have them doing typing class. Right now I have one in some vocal classes, and he also does private lessons and some theater stuff. Like we have them involved in so many different things, and they're able to get those things done and then also do their schooling. They do, I figured out that school actually works better for them around 11 o'clock ish than it does first thing in the morning. They're on, they're focused, they're locked in, they're ready to go, and it fits well with my work schedule. So it's just the best of both worlds for all of us, and we're able to all be productive and efficient, and they can learn. I don't want my kids to be those homeschool kids that really didn't learn, that were kind of creepy, kind of weird, which I know in our generation, in my generation, that was what we thought homeschool kids were most of the time. It was like, yeah, they don't know how to talk to people. They're a little different. They wear their shirt inside out and two left shoes. Like they were a little different. That's not how it is in 2025. The cool thing I like about homeschooling is once you get a nice little rhythm, you get to set the pace for how you school, how long you school, where you school. Everything is up to you. But it is your responsibility to steward their education well, which, not everybody does, but as for me in my house, we absolutely will. Okay, so people ask, what happens when you travel for work or you're busy or you're doing meetings? Right now, me and my kids, I'm schooling my children year round at this time. This is our first year of doing year round school. And so we take breaks throughout the year. Like this week, we're going on a quick little trip. Next week, I'm taking a couple of my sons on a business trip. I'm going to travel for work. They're going with me. And they'll have the opportunity to learn from and to be around all these millionaires and to also learn from a lot of people who will help them think outside the box, who've done some phenomenal things in their lives, and they can, they can get some mentorship from them. So really cool, really great opportunity. I think now I tend to think of everything as a homeschool lesson. Everything we do, even in small stuff, I can turn it into a lesson real quick that's fun, that's still memorable for them, and helps them to gain a new skill or get more knowledge. And so this trip that I'm taking with my oldest two sons next week is a wonderful example of that. We do not homeschool every day. We homeschool, we do about 4 days a week. 4 days a week of homeschool, which is why we can do year round, because we can take breaks when we need to. And it works well for them. They get breaks. I don't have the pressure on me to like, oh God, they're falling behind. I gotta get the kids in school because they're falling behind. They're never behind. They're never behind. Actually, one of my kids is a whole year ahead because we do not have to stop. We can just keep learning and keep learning. And when they master a thing, mastery is a big deal for me, not just reading a topic and moving to the next, mastering. Once they master the thing, we can then go to the next topic, and now he's a whole grade ahead. Now, typically, when I travel for work, my mom actually runs a co-op, so I'm able to send them to my mom's house if my kids don't go with me. My mom and my husband can tag team and do what needs to be done. When traveling, I don't anymore take schoolwork with us often, but if I do, it's independent study. I have a lot of books and a lot of things that they can take and they can work in, things like that. We've also taken their hybrid streaming classes with us before, with like the DVDs and the headphones and all that. We don't do that much often anymore. We tend to just lock in, get it done at home. When we travel, we separate, and we like to take a little break. All right, pause. This video is getting long, and that's fine because this is what you need to know. I hope you are taking notes, sis. I hope you are writing this down. And if you have any questions, again, comment below. Next question I get is, how do you homeschool multiple children in multiple grade levels, and how do you manage it with toddlers and babies and kids of all ages? So first part of that is, it's all in the curriculum. I picked a curriculum that works for my business and my life. And so I know that sometimes I need to do meetings, and I know that there are 4 boys, and 4 boys are 4 boys, okay? The energy, and I got, if you know me, my husband and I are lively, we have energy, and so goes the children as well. It's a lot of noise, it's a lot of energy, it's a lot happening. And so I'm able to pick a curriculum that helps with them being able to, we have a system. So like, if one kid is doing their video class, another kid is working with me and I'm teaching them a class. I have a system so that we can swap, so that no more than 2 kids at a time need my attention. I also do a lot of the teaching of my 4-year-old with my 1-year-old, with my 1-year-old. The 1-year-old and the 4-year-old will do stuff together. And I'll do things like, okay, the 4-year-old, I'll teach him something. And then I want him to teach it to the 1-year-old to help reinforce what he has learned. Same goes for the older two. I make them teach each other what they just learned in class. It helps to reiterate some things. It starts nice educational discussions. It also helps me to understand, like, did you really pay attention, or were you just twiddling your thumbs the whole time? It's great conversation, it's great connection, and it's also helping everybody in the house gain more knowledge. We want to get smarter. We want to constantly be learning, and a big deal for us is helping our kids to enjoy education, enjoy learning, enjoy pursuing those things. Now, when it comes to managing the day-to-day, I will link the video somewhere above my head. You will see a video where I talk about my schedule every day and what I do so that I'm able to have peace and not chaos here and get work done, serve my clients, but first and foremost, be a phenomenal mother and be present here with the kids for what they need. Now, next question is a big deal for a lot of moms because they're like, look, how do I know if I'm doing well? How do I know if I'm failing? How do I know if my kid is behind? There are standardized tests that your child can take based on your state, and you can get your child to just take them just to see where they are on their grade level. You also can hire someone to evaluate them, and it is not expensive at all. I know, at least in my area, you can get people to evaluate your kid for pretty inexpensive, $50, $100, things like that, depending on who it is. They'll evaluate them and see kind of where they are, if they're on par or not. So I get asked, do I give grades to my children? I kind of do. I don't give my children a report card right now. However, I do want them to know what they've done. Like, I still give them tests. I still give them quizzes. And I also want them to see where they are. Naturally, we like to be great. And we don't want to just be mediocre. And so if you took a test and you got X's all on that first page, naturally, we're going to lock in on where you went wrong and how we can fix this and how we can help you to do better. Maybe we need to teach it in a different way. Maybe we need to present it in a different way as far as, the written assignment. Maybe the assignment needs to be oral. What do we need to do just so that you can get this information and retain it? So I do not put written A, B, C, that type of thing on their tests and things like that anymore. Right now in Virginia, because my children are in elementary school, they do not have to be accredited. But when they get to high school, in order for them for college and all that stuff, they will need to have some type of program and some things so that they can have on a transcript and all that. So this will shift when my children get to high school. But right now, we live in elementary school land and we are doing a phenomenal job. All right, now for the 80s and 90s babies like myself who had this whole idea that homeschool kids were weird. The question that we get the most often is, most of the time, the first thing people think about, how will your child socialize? Where are they going to make friends? I have a lot to say about this, but I'm not going to say it in this video because this video is long enough. But what I will say is a lot of the friends that our kids have, they don't need to have. Most of their friends, especially depending on what kind of schools they go to and what your standards are in your home. If you're raising them to be Bible, and my son had left his Bible here on his desk. If they are going to be Bible believing, if you're raising children who are Christians that live and walk according to the word of God, a lot of the children in the relationships that they have are not positive for their life. A lot of what they say, a lot of what they do, a lot of what they wear, the slang they use, and what they're interested in, it's all influenced by the kids that they meet. And don't get me wrong, my kids need friends, and they gotta, people need people. You gotta build relationships and have friends. However, the cool thing about homeschool is we put them in the right environments so that they are gaining friends who also are on the same path as them. So my kids have Christian friends. That's not to say that some of their friends and some of their associates are not Christians, but the ones that they build strong, close connection with are friends who are walking the same path, who are getting raised the same way, who believe the same Bible and serve the same God that they serve. And that's extremely important. At my two oldest are 9 and 11. That's extremely important for them because that's such an influential age where they're learning about themselves and hormones are coming into place and things are changing and there's so much peer pressure and influence, and There's a lot that comes on children in that age group. And so it's extremely important to my husband and I that we steward that very, very well. And we set them up for success. We have to stand before God one day for what we taught these children, how we raised these children, where we let them attend school, what programs we put them in, what friend circles we allowed them to be in, the devices we allowed them to be on, the games we allowed them to play, everything that we let them be exposed to that maybe they should or shouldn't. We have to stand before God and we have to answer for that. And so when I tell y'all we take that job very seriously, we take it extremely seriously, extremely seriously. And so when we put them in these environments, I run a homeschool group of almost 400 families. Most of them are families of color. And it's the only in this area that has so many families of color. Now we're about 70% African American. And I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that because there was not a lot of places. There was not a lot of places in this area where people could go and find people of color, could go and find themselves in the homeschool community in this local area. And so we've been able to find other families that my kids have made connections with. And it has been beautiful. Just yesterday, there were 11 boys here, 10 boys and one girl. The girl was my niece. There were 11 kids here. They met these people through activities and all these things from being homeschooled, from church and homeschool and all that. And these are families whose kids are being raised the same way that my children are being raised. And it's beautiful for them to be able to socialize in that way. The other thing I want you to also think about when we think about how we had this thought that homeschool kids were weird was the fact that a lot of times homeschool kids don't have the influence that a lot of other children have. And so they are so very much themselves that a kid approaching you being 100% themselves looks weird to us. We really got to think about that thought. Like, a kid who dresses the way that they, in their mind, thought they want to dress. They don't wear the same style as every other kid who all has the same style and the same shoes and the same haircut and literally the same everything. They are so very much themselves. They speak differently. They talk differently. They move different. They're not influenced by the same culture that a lot of other children are influenced by. So that's why sometimes they look different. They sound different. They act different. They're not weird. They're just not as influenced as a lot of the other kids by some of the outside world. And that's okay. In rant. Next question. What surprised me most about homeschool? What surprised me most was the freedom. The freedom to go, the freedom to do, the freedom to have no cap on what we can learn and how we can learn, the freedom to just live life and love God and to teach my children exactly what it is they need to know to be successful men of God as they grow up. Not just men, not just successful adults, but successful men of God as they grow up. The God part was heavy on the God part. That was a big deal for us. That was important. We wanted to make sure that they were men of faith, that they had these values, these biblical principles instilled in them. And, the education is something we have to have. It's extremely important. But we also wanted to prioritize the Christian values first and foremost, which is why we start our day with Bible. So for some of you, I have a great support system from my family and friends. I had a couple people who've said things to me, but you ain't gonna just keep saying stuff to me because I'm gonna say something back. I'm gonna make sure you straight. Like let's follow truth. Let's get to the facts, okay? And so I know that I deal with moms, I interact with moms who have family who is heavy on them in regards to this. And what I want you to do is I want you to free yourself from people pleasing, and I want you to free yourself from the thoughts and the whispers of others, okay? But what I do want you to do is I want you to do what's in the best interest of your child and your family, and I want you to seek God on what he wants you to do, because regardless of what anyone says, regardless of me making this video and everything I say sounds good, you have to do what God called you to do. Do what God called you to do for your family, okay? So I know there are more questions, and I want you to leave them in the comments so I can respond and I can answer those questions for you. This is not my last homeschool video. I will do others in the future, and as you continue to ask questions, I will absolutely create a video and be honored to answer those questions for you so that I can expound on that and we can make sure that you have clarity. But again, seek God concerning what you should do for your family. I will tell you that this has been one of the best decisions we have made for our kids. They have had so many opportunities that if they were in regular traditional school, they would have never had because of time. Time is a big deal. You can't get it back. We only get a limited amount of it. And we decided to make sure that their time and our time was being used in the best way possible. And the best way possible for us in our house was not for them to be in traditional school all day long. They are loving homeschool. They are enjoying the opportunities. They're enjoying their friends. They're enjoying the field trips. They're enjoying the freedom. And I'm excited. I love what this does for them, but I'm also excited for who they will become as they get older because this will be something different it'll be a different start than my husband and I had because they have a completely different foundation in regards to the lens that they have on life and opportunity and income and success and faith and literally everything. They're living a completely different childhood from that standpoint. And we are so grateful to God that God has graced us with this opportunity to be able to do this. So, all right, mamas, I love y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't, click subscribe, click the notification button, like the video, share it with somebody who somebody who you were talking to is complaining about something that happened at their child's school recently. That's who I want you to share this with. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video.